Now, he's a household name in America, but you may remember him from the movie Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington. February the 21st marks the 50th anniversary of the assassination of African-American human rights activist Malcolm X. His birth name was Malcolm Little, and he embraced Islam in prison. Malcolm X joined the black Muslim movement called the Nation of Islam in 1952. He was initially the leading opponent to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s non-violent protests. Malcolm X became a moderate Muslim after visiting Mecca. Here's how Americans have been remembering him.
He was a great teacher, he was a great leader, right? But he was also a loving person. Okay, it's true he was radical, but after he became educated about different peoples around the world and their struggles, he became a loving person. His heart went out. That's how I remember him.
Malcolm X was a great leader in a certain era that allowed, people of color and all people to come together and understand that there's different perspectives, but we all have to work together to make sure that there's a better place on this earth.
He said something that was really interesting. He said that the best place for a man to learn about himself is either university or in jail, because you have a lot of free time and you have to go through who you are and just who you want to be. And I think the biggest misconception about him is that he was just this angry man who was just like, by any means necessary, we have to reach a certain, we have to reach a certain goal as people of color. But all those views shifted because he's not one-dimensional, just like none of us are. And he became a very loving person, and in the end, his message was about love and unity, and I think that was very powerful.
Dawud Walid is the executive director of the Michigan chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, and he joins us live from Detroit. We appreciate you being with us. What was Malcolm X's impact on how the civil rights movement sees itself today?
Well, Malcolm X, as far as the human rights struggle worldwide, but especially here in the United States of America, was a very integral part in moving forward freedom, justice, and equality, not just for African Americans, but for all people. He worked implicitly and then also intentionally in unison with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At one point, he was working as an agitator and seen as being an enemy against King and what he was doing, but he was making space or an alternative in terms of the Kennedy administration and the Johnson administration in helping King push for legislation that eventually helped as far as the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights. Was Malcolm X who showed an alternative, was basically forced their hands more towards supporting Dr. King and what he was calling for.
Nevertheless, he wanted radical change. I mean, he's known for strong statements like, by any means necessary, and the ballot or the bullet. But his approach changed, didn't it, after that visit to Mecca? What caused that change?
Well, Malcolm was a man that was constantly evolving. He, came into the Nation of Islam fresh out of prison, and, he saw circumstances and situations that were extremely difficult for African Americans, state-sanctioned violence as well as vigilante violence. But as he evolved in his thinking, he traveled around the world, and especially at the Hajj, he recognized that the struggle of African American people wasn't that white people themselves were the enemies, but that there was a global system that was based upon white supremacy and colonialism that was holding people back. So it wasn't about individual white people being evil, but it was a system that had people of color marginalized all throughout the world, including here in these United States of America.
Now, many of the causes that concerned him still resonate today. Photo ID laws for voting, which allegedly hinder minorities, and obviously accusations of police brutality. Does the world need another Malcolm X today?
Oh, well, I don't think the world necessarily needs any type of messianic figures per se, but we need a lot of little Malcolms and a little Martin Luther King Jr.'s and Fannie Lou Hamers and Cesar Chavez's, people who are going to stand up for freedom, justice, and equality for all people and going to be willing to first speak truth to their own people, to try to break them from internalized oppression, superiority complexes, but also speak truth to power and force power to concede. And as we know, power does not give up anything without demand. And Malcolm X was definitely a man that was demanding equal rights for all human beings, especially here in these United States of America.
Dawud Walid is Executive Director of the Michigan chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Really interesting to get your views on this. Thank you very much indeed for your time.